Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with another hip hop topic. Now, after looking at the discography of Tupac, despite passing away at the age of 25, he's had an impeccable discography and a lot of works, posthumously after he passed away. But he still had many great projects, a lot of great songs, a lot of great features, a lot of great appearances. Despite passing away, rest in peace at the age of 25. But if you ask most people, there's three different albums that people are decided between of Tupac's greatest album. Now, some people say "All Eyes on Me," which is the double disc, one of the few double discs in hip hop to actually go diamond, or a few double discs actually in hip hop, especially since there are no discs anymore. There's a double projects, I guess now, but they'll say "All Eyes on Me," Me Against the World, or the Illuminati album, which is usually in the discussion for Tupac's best album, which, it's all subjective. It's all relegated to what your sound is and what you think the best tracks are and things like that. But always for me, it's been Me Against the World is the best album because, for one, it's the most personable album that he has, probably the most introspective, the most cohesive project, the most concise project he has as well. Only about 15 tracks. It gets straight to the point, has a lot of things that he's going through at the time. It's not just all over the place. It's not scattered. It's not a lot of poppy sounds on it. It's essentially his truest hip hop album that he's produced yet. Produced ever, I should say. So, and of course, this album was released in 1995 while he was still incarcerated in the Clinton Correctional Facility out there in the East Coast. But this album was built around not only just the great production that it had, but the narratives that were surrounding the album, the rapping, the range, and I talked about before the conciseness of the album, not putting 25 songs on the album and all these things, putting a lot of skits and a lot of filter. It wasn't a lot of filler on this project as most albums would have that are longer albums. These tracks were all important to the album. They're all very good tracks. So it wasn't a lot of filler um, just to make an album. But like I said before, it's his most introspective, his most fundamentally hip hop sounding album, an essential album of hip hop, I believe, as well. It's one of those albums that you can't tell the story of hip hop without. And Tupac didn't do any wrong on this project. A lot of this project was personal, especially the intro when he talks about him leaving the hospital after being shot the first time and how dangerous it was. And it goes straight into the next track. But a lot of songs on this album made Tupac's career a lot different. So when you think about a track like Dear Mama, which probably I don't know if it really belonged on this album, but it made sense at the time, I guess, because this song is more introspective than most because he's very honest about his relationship with his mother and what she meant to him. A song that was recognized by the Library of Congress, a song that is world renowned in the hip hop communities for moms. Uh, every genre has a song about moms like that, and this is no different. And Tupac spoke about this candidly, and it was so very honest that even the government had to recognize this song and put it in the Hall of Fame. So, uh, this song is gonna make the album. It's one of the bigger songs on the album. It's probably the most played song on the album as well, just because of the popularity of it. But he also had a song called "It Ain't Easy," which is talks about the urban problems and what essentially Tupac is, what the makeup of Tupac. He always talked about world issues and more so the issues of the United States and how we have money to feed. We don't have money to feed the poor, but we got money to fund wars, which is more essential now. So Tupac was very ahead of his time on a lot of these things, and they're becoming true today, and it's still true today. And some of the things we haven't even found out yet that he said that will probably come true eventually, but he was just very prophetic in his reasoning and his logic, and especially in his music. He was very prophetic. and most people thought he was ahead of his time, and he was, and he still is to this day ahead of his time. So when you think about songs like "It Ain't Easy" or even songs like "Can You Get Away," which is a song he made for the woman on the album, just giving different perspectives and giving different lights. And he said he was a Gemini. He had two sides. He can be very soft spoken on issues, and then he can take it to the gangster side when it's time to. So he can do both, and he wasn't just one artist you can put in the box that said, he's a singer or he's rapping about women or rapping about, you know whatever. He gives you different perspectives, and this album gives you a lot of different perspectives. Like, he had this song called Young Brother, which I'm making it PG, but he's talking about the young black kids and telling them there's another way than doing what you're doing, of being in the street life. There's a way you can get education, you can get a trade, you can learn a job and things like this, and you don't have to do it that way because he's seen that way. And he talks about that in his songs, and he gives you this different perspective. He just doesn't give you a pop sound or some kind of cliche message. He had a message of his own, which set the trend for some artists today, which a lot of artists don't have today, which should have, especially being a part of hip hop. But he had unfortunate prophetic songs that I think led to his demise because they said speaking death in their tongues and it'll eventually happen. So he had the song If I Die Tonight, and he had songs like Death Around the Corner. And they talked about this in documentaries and in movies and things, that he did so many songs a day because he felt he was gonna die early. And I don't know if this was after the first time he was shot or before it, but he definitely had a vision of himself dying early, and unfortunately, that came true at the age of 25. But these songs are songs that he felt were true at the time, and a lot of songs that had him thinking about his mortality in life. And like I said, he was prophetic. He saw a lot of things before they came, so maybe he saw that as well. But um, just to get back to the album, the self-titled track "Me Against the World" kind of expresses his emotion and his poetry in motion as well, as he talked about just the way the power structure is. And I think a lot of towards the end of his career and his life, he talked about the power structure that be and the power structure that controls everything, and he started to be silenced from it. So this "Me Against the World" track, self-titled track, and the album express these things in a lot of different ways. But he was very honest and candid, and I think this is his best album because while you can say "All Eyes on Me" was very important, but it was a lot of songs, but it had a lot of different feels. It had a lot of poppy tunes. I felt like he did a lot of records that were just pieced together after he passed away, and he probably would never put an album together like that. Um, and the Illuminati album was posthumous as well, so I don't consider that. But Me Against the World was him in rare form, him recording records that he felt very good about that were essentially Tupac, and was compromised or composed of the true essence of Tupac, which is talking about world issues and talking about what he's going through from his own unique perspective. So tell me what your thoughts about Tupac's best album, and until next time, I'll see you next time.